on a bluff. Yeah. Bluff, bluff, give. All right, fishing bluffs, man. Like one of my favorite things to do once that water temperature starts coming down, you know, in the low 50s, high 40s, and it's only gonna get better. Like once that water temperature hits like 52, 50 degrees, something like that, that's when I like to fish bluffs. And I'm sure fish are on bluffs all year round. But you can have really good days on bluffs. You know, I'm sitting in 30 to 40, sometimes 50 foot of water, throwing right to a bluff. I'm probably not a John boat's length away from the bluff, so when I'm flipping, you know, pretty much I'm flipping and skipping. If it's overhangs, I'll skip a jig up underneath there, and that's pretty much what I use as a jig. Or I'll use a jig head with like a creature bait on the back of it, a speed crawl or a creature bait. Dude, like right in the top of the mouth, that wasn't coming out. Little guy. December's a great time to be fishing bluffs. Late November, December, January, February, and then after that. So the way I fish bluffs, and fishing bluffs, dude, like you have to commit to it because it can get boring. It's slow, it's methodical. Before I had live scope, I fished bluffs as well. Or you have to cast up on the rock, like right up on the rock, and then just let it kind of fall down, like stair step down all the way to the bottom. Now with live scope, you can cast up there, and the way it's cool how these fish set up on it because you can't even see them, right? Like you don't know if there's fish there or not unless they're suspended. These fish will sit like right up against these bluff walls, and you can't see them until that jig falls down past them, then they come out. It's the coolest thing ever. I like fishing them when it's slick calm, when there's no wind, there's no nothing. It's kind of like it is right now. Go up underneath the boat, bro. It's a good one. It's a good one on the old jig. Who the fuck is calling me, dude? Look. Yeah, good fish right there. Like I said, dude, it's almost like flipping, right? It's like you're flipping trees or flipping docks or, you know, whatever. Same thing, except it's just a rock wall. And you just hit the rock and then just let it drop. Rock and drop, baby. And this is what I'm throwing is a Ekins or a Jewel. It's pretty much the same thing. It's a finesse jig head, brown ball. Of course, if you know me or know anything about me, I love finesse jigs. It's just a brown jig with a Zoom Chunk Junior watermelon red. And you can see how beat up the head is right there just from hitting those rocks and kind of stair stepping down. And I'm using 17-pound test. This is a Lew's Cush. I call it the Cush. It's the custom 7-1 to whatever gear ratio, 7-5 to 1 gear ratio wheel, and just a Denali 7-foot medium heavy rod. Mm-hmm. Right there in that tree. Get out of that tree. There. Little tree coming off that bluff right there. Keeper. Keeper. Caught some decent fish today, and you can also throw like jerk baits, you can throw spoons, you can throw A-rigs. It's just I always have the best of luck with jigs when I'm fishing vertical like this, like vertical rock. And another thing, like this little gut I'm in right now, this is kind of like what I call like a secondary bluff. Sometimes these fish will get packed up in here, just depends on where the bait is, but most of the time this is main channel stuff that I'm fishing. And like I said, the water temp's like 50, 51 right now. Yeah, it's 50 degrees. Water temp's 50 degrees. Prime, just perfect conditions. If you attempt to start fishing bluffs, give it a little bit of time. Like, don't just cast for 15 minutes and not get a bite and then roll out. Give it some time. Work the bluffs. Like, you really have to get the mindset to get into it. Once you get dialed in to cast into these bluffs, you know, you let it, and you can watch your live scope. If you don't, that's fine. You can just kind of watch your line, you know, when it stops, you know, you just kind of drag it a little bit more, because it's probably on like a little ledge, and then open it back up and just let it fall. And those fish are just down there waiting, you know, and they'll just hammer it. And like today, like, you really couldn't feel the fish biting. Oh, you fucker. See, you also miss fish on bluff too. They barely bite jig. You barely feel. I don't know. I would actually just see my line moving. I'm like, okay, there's a fish. Quick, you know. So sometimes they hammer it. Sometimes it's just kind of like they're getting up underneath it and it's dropping right in their mouth. So just another good way to fish when the water temp starts dropping and it starts getting a little cold out. And like I said, if you got like a long strip of bluff walls on your lake, pick one end to start. I like bluff walls where the channel's kind of hugging up against it, if you can find them. Like the one I just fished, the channel's pretty much right on that wall. You can buy all my gear that I just listed down below in the description, from Tackle Warehouse, the Denali rod, the Lose Reel, the Sunline, 17-pound fluorocarbon, and the Eakins or the Jewel 5/16 ounce jig, the Zoom, all that stuff you can buy down below. Thanks for watching. Catch me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and little guy. Here you go.